Welcome back, everybody, to The Deep Dive. Today we're going to be taking a look at Ronald Reagan
Oh, interesting.
through the lens of the Enneagram.
Okay.
Yeah, always a fascinating figure.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Especially as we, think about him going from Hollywood to the White House.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so our source material today is going to be an analysis by Enneagram expert Antonio Fernandez Guerrero.
Okay.
And he argues that Reagan embodies many of the traits of a type 3.
Uh-huh.
Particularly the social subtype. So I'm really interested to kind of dig into that and
Me too.
see how that analysis holds up.
Well, great. Let's do it.
Yeah, so just to kind of recap, for our listeners,
Yeah.
type 3s, often called the achievers,
Right.
are driven by, this core desire for success, for recognition, and of course for achievement.
Yeah.
They're ambitious,
Yeah.
they're very image conscious,
Yes.
and they often possess this natural charisma that just draws people to them.
Absolutely.
So
it makes sense.
Yeah, and Guerrero highlights a number of things from Reagan's life
Right.
that, sort of align with this, right?
Yeah.
His very successful acting career,
Uh-huh.
his masterful communication skills,
Yes.
his ability to connect with audiences, on a really emotional level,
Yeah.
all of that seems to paint this picture of someone who is, very attuned to public image
Right.
and really driven to excel.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And I think what makes this analysis
Yeah.
particularly interesting is that it focuses on the social subtype.
Okay.
So it's not just about personal achievement for social threes.
Right.
It's about this craving for social prestige and this drive to really embody the values of their time.
Uh-huh.
It's about achieving arde, which is a Greek term for excellence.
Okay.
That kind of encompasses both individual accomplishment and social recognition.
Now that's where I think it gets really intriguing.
Yeah.
Because if you think about Reagan's rise to prominence, it does seem like he was consistently aligning himself
Yes.
with the prevailing values of his era.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Guerrero points out Reagan's very staunch anti-communist stance during the McCarthy era.
Right.
His active participation in identifying potential communist sympathizers
Yeah.
in Hollywood.
Wow.
And his unwavering patriotism throughout his life.
Uh-huh.
So these weren't just personal beliefs.
Right.
These were actions that resonated really deeply within the social and political context of his time.
Yeah, it's like he was embodying those values.
Exactly.
And in doing so,
Yeah.
he essentially positioned himself as a leader.
Right.
As someone who understood and represented the anxieties and aspirations of, a large segment of the American public.
Absolutely.
And so it's almost like each step in his journey from, sports teams
Right.
to acting unions
Yes.
to, ultimately the political arena was this calculated move to kind of gain social approval
Yeah.
and ascend this ladder of prestige.
It's a very compelling argument, isn't it?
It is.
And it raises the question of whether this pursuit of arete was a conscious strategy or more of a deeply ingrained motivation.
That's such a fascinating point. Like, was this a deliberate play for power?
Yeah.
Or was it simply, a reflection of his authentic self?
Right.
Or maybe
It could be.
maybe it's a blend of the two.
The lines can blur, can't they?
Yeah, they do.
It's these intricacies of human motivation that I think make this exploration so compelling.
Absolutely. And so this leads us to another key element that Guerrero highlights,
Okay.
which is Reagan's insatiable thirst for prestige.
Right.
So how does that fit into this whole picture?
So this ties directly, I think, to the Enneagram concept of fixations.
Okay.
Each type has a core fixation, a potential blind spot
Right.
that can lead to some unhealthy behaviors. For type 3s, it's often a need for validation and this tendency to prioritize external achievements over internal fulfillment.
So even with someone like Reagan, who achieved, such remarkable success,
Right.
there's this underlying drive that might have been fueled by something deeper, perhaps even a fear of not being enough.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's a reminder that even the most accomplished individuals can be driven by these inner anxieties and insecurities.
Which makes me wonder, how might this insatiable thirst have influenced Reagan's political decisions and actions?
Right.
Was it always, in service of the greater good?
Yeah.
Or was there an element of personal ambition that was kind of intertwined?
It's a question worth pondering.
Yeah.
And it leads us to another fascinating aspect of Reagan's personality that Guerrero analyzes.
Yep.
His skill as a propagandist, both during World War II and his presidency. Yeah, and it's this skill as a propagandist that I think ties so intriguingly back to the core traits of the social three.
Right.
You know, their understanding of image, their talent for shaping narratives, their ability to really embody the values of their time.
Yeah.
You know, these can be incredibly powerful tools for persuasion.
Yeah. You know, it's fascinating to consider how his Hollywood background might have actually honed those skills.
Right.
Like you think about his years as an actor, learning to embody different characters, project emotions, connect with audiences.
Yeah.
It's almost like a training ground for the kind of storytelling and image crafting that's so crucial in politics.
Absolutely. And Guerrero specifically points to Reagan's work during World War II, making training films and selling war bonds.
Wow.
As these early examples of his ability to kind of craft this compelling narrative and rally people around a cause.
Yeah, he wasn't just delivering lines.
Right.
He was conveying a message.
Yes.
He was embodying a shared ideal.
Exactly. And this ability to promote, to sell an idea or an image continued into his presidency.
Yeah.
You know, remember his Morning in America campaign ads?
Oh, yeah.
They weren't just about policies.
Right.
They were about evoking a feeling, a sense of optimism and national pride.
It's like he was tapping into that deep-seated desire for orate within the American psyche, right?
Right.
He was presenting an image of America not just as it was, but as it could be a shining beacon of hope and opportunity.
And this ability to connect with people on an emotional level, to tap into those shared aspirations, I think that's something that can't be underestimated. It's a hallmark of effective leadership.
Yeah.
And it's something that, according to Guerrero, aligns perfectly with the social three's drive for social influence and recognition.
But it also raises another interesting question, right? Like how much of Reagan's political success was due to genuine conviction?
Right.
And how much was driven by this insatiable thirst for prestige? This need to be seen as the hero who restored America to greatness.
Yeah, it's a complex question and one that likely has no easy answer.
Right.
Human motivation is rarely so black and white.
Of course.
But it's precisely this complexity that I think makes exploring these questions so valuable.
Yeah, it forces us to look beyond the surface, to consider the nuances of personality.
Yes.
And to acknowledge that even the most admired leaders have their own, internal drives and complexities.
Precisely. And this is where I think the Enneagram can be such a powerful tool for analysis.
Yeah.
It's not about judging or labeling individuals.
Right.
It's about understanding the patterns of human behavior, motivations that drive us, the potential blind spots that can arise from our strength.
It's like a lens that allows us to see things from a different perspective.
Yes.
To gain a deeper understanding of both ourselves and the figures who shape history.
And in the case of Ronald Reagan, I think it offers a fascinating framework for exploring his journey, his leadership style, and the impact he had on the American political landscape.
For sure. But as with any Enneagram type, right, there are potential downsides to consider.
Of course.
You know, the same drive for achievement and recognition that can propel someone to greatness can also lead to pitfalls.
Exactly.
So what are some of the potential downsides of the type 3 personality?
Well,
particularly in a leadership role.
Okay.
Could those tendencies have manifested in Reagan's presidency?
Well, one potential challenge for type 3s is that their focus on image and achievement can sometimes lead them to prioritize appearances over substance.
Okay.
So they might be tempted to make decisions that look good on the surface, but lack depth or long-term vision.
So there's a risk of style over substance.
Exactly.
Of prioritizing a good story over, a solid foundation.
And another potential pitfall is that their need for validation can make them susceptible to flattery and manipulation.
Okay.
You know, they might surround themselves with yes people who reinforce their positive self-image, but fail to offer critical feedback.
It's like building an echo chamber.
Yeah.
Where dissenting voices are drowned out by the constant reassurance of success and admiration.
Right.
And that can be a dangerous trap for any leader.
Absolutely. And this is why self-awareness is so crucial for type 3s.
Yeah.
Particularly those in positions of power.
Right.
They need to cultivate this ability to step back, to seek out diverse perspectives, to be willing to confront their own blind spots.
It's about finding that balance between ambition and authenticity.
Yeah.
Between the drive to achieve and the humility to recognize one's limitations.
Well said.
Yeah.
And this brings us, I think, to the heart of what makes this Enneagram analysis so thought-provoking.
Right.
It's not about definitively labeling Ronald Reagan as a type 3,
Yeah.
but rather about using this framework to explore the complexities of his personality and how those traits might have influenced his actions on the world stage.
And ultimately, it invites us to reflect on our own motivations.
Yeah.
Right? Our own desires for achievement and recognition.
Yeah, exactly.
Are we driven by a genuine desire to make a difference?
Yeah.
Or are we perhaps unconsciously chasing this mirage of social validation?
It's a question worth pondering.
Yeah.
And it really highlights, I think, the power of the Enneagram as a tool for self-discovery and personal growth.
Yeah.
By understanding our own patterns and motivations, we can make more conscious choices.
Yeah.
And strive for a more authentic and fulfilling life.
So even if we can't definitively say whether Ronald Reagan was a type 3, this exploration through the Enneagram has offered, I think, some valuable insights into his personality,
absolutely,
his leadership style,
yes,
and really the complexities of human motivation.
It's been a fascinating deep dive.
It really has.
Full of nuanced observations and thought-provoking questions.
Yeah, it's fascinating how, examining someone like Reagan through this lens adds these layers to our understanding of history.
Yeah.
It's not just about, dates and events anymore.
Right.
It's about the motivations and personalities of the people who shape those events.
It's like adding this human dimension to the historical narrative.
Right.
We begin to see these figures not just as these larger-than-life icons, but as complex individuals grappling with their own desires, fears, and ambitions.
And it makes you wonder, how might understanding Enneagram types help us better analyze and understand the motivations of other historical figures?
Right.
Could it offer a new perspective on their decisions and actions?
It's certainly a compelling tool for analysis.
Yeah.
Imagine applying this lens to figures like Martin Luther King Jr. With his unwavering commitment to social justice.
Yeah.
Or someone like Steve Jobs with his relentless drive for innovation and perfection.
Right.
What insights might we glean about their leadership styles and the forces that shaped their worldviews?
It opens up a whole new realm of exploration, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It's like we're not just studying history anymore.
Right.
We're delving into the psychology of leadership.
Yes.
This intricate interplay between personality and circumstance.
Exactly. And this brings us back to that intriguing concept of arete.
Yeah.
Which has been kind of woven throughout our discussion.
Right.
It seems Reagan's pursuit of this ideal of embodying the values and aspirations of his time played a significant role on his journey.
And it makes you wonder, can striving for arete, even when driven by these seemingly positive motivations, sometimes lead to unintended consequences or even blind spots? Could it be that in his pursuit of this ideal, Reagan might have overlooked certain perspectives or made decisions that, while aligning with the values of his time, might not hold up to scrutiny today?
It's a very thought-provoking question.
Yeah.
And it highlights the importance of critical thinking and self-awareness. Even when pursuing these noble goals, the pursuit of excellence, of embodying the values we hold dear, can be a powerful force for good.
For sure.
But it's crucial to examine those values, to challenge our assumptions, and to be open to diverse perspectives.
So while we can't definitively say whether Ronald Reagan was a type 3, this exploration through the Enneagram has offered, I think, some valuable insights.
Absolutely.
Into his personality, his leadership style, and the complexities of human motivation.
It's been a fascinating deep dive.
It really has.
Full of nuanced observations and thought-provoking questions.
And for our listeners who are intrigued by the Enneagram, we encourage you to explore it further.
Absolutely.
It's a journey of self-discovery.
A
way to understand your own patterns and motivations and to ultimately lead a more conscious and fulfilling life.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
And until next time, stay curious.